tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a USB programming cable for a LIBus slave board. The USB programming cable just plugs into the LIBus header and connects direct to USB. There's no extra hardware needed, it's just a direct connection. So creating the cable is as simple as taking a standard USB cable, cutting off the end and replacing it with a 6-pin IDC connector. So you start off just by cutting off the end of the USB cable. Next you need to strip off a few inches of insulation, more than you would expect to need to remove, and cut off and discard the shielding along with the foil wrapper. Now take the IDC connector, make sure you have the key facing you with the pin 1 marker on the left here. Gently remove the top section. You don't want to break these tabs. Then still with the key towards you, you need to crimp or partially crimp these wires into the connectors. The red wire goes into the second one from the left, that's pin 2, then black goes into pin 3, that's the row in front, then green pin 4 and white pin 5. Now the magic happens. This is the part that tells the LIBus board that this is a USB cable you're plugging in. So you take the red wire and loop it around to pin 6. Well, that's the theory. Let's get those back in. Keeping them in whilst you're working is probably the hardest part of the whole exercise. So once you've got them in the right order and the right place, it can be good to just apply a little bit of pressure to the top of them just to partially crimp them into place. Just helps to hold them. Nope. Let's try that again. A second option is to just take a small screwdriver and just crimp down either side of the pins. There we go, that's fixed better. It's easier to do when you're not trying to demonstrate it. Okay, and then the green one was into 4. A white one into 5. Don't be tempted to push the screwdriver down into the pins, or you'll end up opening the pins up and the crimping will fail. Go down next to the pins. Okay, then we take the red wire and loop it around to pin 6. Pin 6 being the LIBus pins. Actually, I've managed to bend this one. That's not good. straighten that up. Pin 6 is the VBus pin, so applying 5 volts to that indicates to the chip that this is USB and that USB should start operating. Okay, the wires are now in place. Take the top cover, place it over the top and apply a small amount of pressure. Because these wires are fairly thin, it crimps very easily. You can actually do it completely by hand, but just to be on the safe side, I like to give it a good squeeze with a pair of mole grips. And of course, you can get proper crimping tools for doing this with, and if you're working with larger IDC connectors, especially things like the 40-way connectors used in old hard drives and that sort of thing, a proper crimping tool is essential because it gives you a much wider plane to work on. But for just these little ones, a pair of mole grips works perfectly. And I'm not actually happy with how that's crimped. That's better. The green and black had crossed over, but it was crimped fine. It just got slightly trapped in the casing. Okay, we're almost there. Now just trim off the excess, taking care not to cut the red wire as it loops around. There we go. One LIBus USB programming cable.